Hello traders, the holiday season is upon us, but we are not getting holiday season volatility. So we're going to talk about the spike in volatility that we're seeing and what currencies are moving. I want to talk to you guys in the comment section who've been kind of throwing some hate at me lately, and I want to give you guys an update on the Top Trader app. All right, let's roll the intro. Good morning, everyone. How are you guys doing today? US session has not quite started up yet. It is Tuesday, but by the time maybe you guys watch this video, who knows, markets may have moved on quite a bit. But so far this morning, we have not seen much. All right, we haven't pushed out content probably in about a week or so. We've been extremely busy with the Top Trader app. We're gonna be talking about that much later in the video, but I am excited to talk to you guys a little bit about what we're seeing right now in markets with the pound, with the NZD, with the JPY, and also with the dollar. Okay, so if you guys are new to the Top Trader channel, I'm head trader here, Cleveland Bishop. We like to break down market fundamentals. We believe market fundamentals give you a very good idea as to why the market is moving, as we are going to show you. And just strictly relying on technicals is archaic. And at the end of the day, it's very hard to quantify an edge there. Whether you're just saying, oh, I'm trading the M&W pattern. Well, why are you taking that sell or that buy? Or maybe you think that candlestick pattern is bullish, but at the end of the day, what if the underlying market sentiment is bearish? All I'm saying is use your technicals, but make sure you have a solid fundamental understanding, and you can get that here on the channel. So make sure you guys subscribe if you like the content, okay? So let's first address, I don't want to call them haters, all right, but I do want to talk to some of the folks that are picking at some of the things that maybe I speak on in the videos, and specifically about the directional positions that maybe I assume markets are going to go. So to give you guys an example, last week we put out a video saying this may trigger the pound, and I'm going to run a clip on basically the trade idea that we had, which was a buy side move on the pound. Okay, now at the end of the day, it was more of an opinion of where we thought markets were going to go, because we were simply just looking at the index, and you can't trade currency indexes on TradingView. All right, so take a look here at the idea that we had for the pound, and I'll follow up. We see that the pound is really starting to hit off and potentially break this high here. Okay, so that's really interesting stuff. This gives us an opportunity to potentially see a trend continuation, especially because this is happening on a weekly time frame. Okay, this isn't a 5-minute or 30-minute chart. When anytime you get a break of a high on a very, very powerful structural level like how we have here on the pound index, that can kind of help you, reassure you a little bit more that, hey, there might be some follow through here, which might give you a pretty awesome pound buying opportunity. Now, so a couple of you guys, all right, you guys didn't want to buy the pound, and that's okay. But there was one comment in particular, which I ended up deleting because it had a lot of pretty nasty words in it, was basically talking about one thing in particular here. And I want to show you guys what initially happened in that pound trade after we talked about it. If I head over to the pound index, okay, was a 100 pip sell-off. And we were anticipating that the market could potentially break to the upside. And as you guys can see here, comparatively to all of these other trading days, this is a daily chart, by the way, guys, comparative to all these other trading days, that was a huge sell. Okay, and there was one comment in particular, and a few of you other guys also mentioned that, Cleveland was wrong. And this was literally like just one day later. And as you guys know, maybe we're swing trading here, right? So intraday volatility doesn't really concern us so much. Okay, so that individual was just literally had his eyes glued to the market. Okay, and if there was any scenario where there was a cumulative down sell for maybe 4 hours, 8 hours, and in this instance, an entire day sell, immediately he went on to say, you were wrong. Pound sold off. Everyone should have probably lost. I forgot what he said, but it was pretty nasty stuff. So now at the end of the day, the pound ended up breaking a high, right? So the pound ended up going back up into structure, as you guys can see here, ended up breaking the high. And as you guys can see now, we're just somewhat slowly, maintaining that high, which is expected. We're in the holiday season. Your larger currencies, which I'm going to show you, the smaller currencies are ones that are moving. Your larger currencies, the volume is down, so you're not going to get so much price move. Guys, okay. Understand this. I am simply here just giving you guys my opinion on markets. I've been in the industry quite a while, and there are a lot of people who are newly coming into Forex who not only, need to learn a little bit more about just how markets function in general, pips and leverage, the simple stuff, but there are also people who have scaled past that and want to know a little bit more about fundamentals. And in those scenarios, it suits me to occasionally say, hey guys, based off of these fundamentals, this is where we think markets can go. Because other than that, we could simply just talk about fundamentals, and then we just be like CNBC, Bloomberg, and all of the other, analysts out there. Okay, so we like to go a little bit further and give you guys our opinion, but understand those opinions, those aren't gospel. Okay, they're simply our opinions, and you easily can have, another alternative opinion. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that later on today. Okay, so as we can see here, the pound is higher. Anyone who was talking about selling the pound in this scenario, yes, my opinion, things slightly worked out. At the end of the day, the market hasn't even dramatically broke the high, so we still have to wait a little bit. Okay, so that's the pound news. 1 and 2, I do very, very much appreciate you guys sharing your ideas as to what you think can happen, but there's really no point to be so negative in the comment section. We're all trying to do the same thing here. Learn, stay up on what's happening economically, and just be a more savvy individual when it comes to trading, investing, so on and so forth. Okay, moving on a little bit. I also want to talk to you guys about the NZD. Okay, so there was that video where we talked about being triggered inside of positions, and then there was another video where we mentioned, I'll throw you up the thumbnail here, where we mentioned low volatility and how you can look at certain trading opportunities in low volatile environments. Okay, which is what we're seemingly still in with some of our pairs, but some of our pairs have been moving, and the pairs that we thought were going to move was this here, this NZD. We thought that we were going to see some pretty awesome opportunity on the NZD, specifically the NZDJPY. Let's roll the clip. This is a long clip. Okay, it's about 2 minutes. Bear with me, guys. All right, watch the clip and we'll talk at the end of it. Take a look. Well, you'll see the same thing. They're very much correlated, right? You have this overall, this is a weekly, you have this overall area here where, again, we need markets to push back up into structure. Here, I'll draw it up. Again, if we get that price move, then we're going to be excited because we know it's going to be highly correlated back over to what's happening again in the trade war. These are some trades that I'm really taking a look at. Okay, and so again, yes, these are the indexes. Let's take a look at the actual currencies themselves that you might want to take advantage of. Think about it. We want the NZD and we want the AUD to push to the upside. We want buys on those. So what are some currencies we may be looking to sell? Well, let's maybe talk a little bit more about the JPY. If Brexit negotiations go well, we may see some more sell side on the JPY. If trade war goes well, we may see some more sell side on the JPY. So let's talk about the NZDJPY. Let's take a look at what we see here. Here we go. Boom. We have the NZDJPY holding a little high here to the upside. So what does this mean for us if we get a sell side move, right? So what that basically would mean is it's costing less and less JPY to buy the NZD. Okay, so that's not actually what you would want to see. You would want to see here more or less an upside move. It's costing more JPY to buy some NZD, and so you would want to break out of this hot upper range there. Now, of course, if the opposite happens and you're like, Cleveland, I want to buy the JPY, I think everything's going to go horrible, and I think as the trade war gets worse, I want to be selling the NZD. Well, then there you go. You're going to be taking a breakout sell side, right? But for us, again, with our bias opposite, we want to be looking at this bad boy to maybe push back to the upside a little bit higher. So NZD and the Australian dollar, as we know, are highly correlated back over to the trade war. The thesis that we mentioned in that video as to why we thought we would see an appreciation in value of those currencies, okay, the thesis, okay, the hypothesis. Let me not say I don't know. Any word that triggers you guys to think I'm convicted, I want to be careful with nowadays, all right? The hypothesis that we thought would make that market trade to the upside was a lull in trade war information, okay? And so we simply thought that since nothing sporadic and negative was coming out, people just casually become potentially optimistic. We know Trump rash during some currencies over the past really 30 to 45 days has been more optimistic about the trade war, right? And so I assumed, okay, as along with some of the guys here in the office, we thought that, hey, maybe we'll get appreciation there in that NZD. And if we go take a look over at the NZD Index, and then we're going to take a look at the NZDJPY, you're going to see that we had a dramatic price move to the upside in the area where we thought that markets could start to trade higher. Okay, so basically this, what it's called, it's a consolidated break. It's a consolidated break from the low here on the NZDJPY. Okay, let me zoom in just a little bit more for you. Okay, there we go. And so I want to draw up the, again, you guys saw it, but it's the same little price zone that we had here. And this is a fairly exaggerated price move. This is a weekly chart that we're taking a look at here. If I go over and I show you guys what we're looking like here on the actual NZDJPY, you guys will see that the NZDJPY, we assume that, again, we should get a price continuation. We definitely had that, okay? And so just, again, we definitely had that price continuation in an environment where, honestly, a lot of people probably would have thought that markets were going to sell off. Because anytime you see an extended move to the upside, a lot of our traders, even here in the Top Trader Academy, a lot of our guys want to sell price structures that look like this. Okay, anytime you have that extended run up into markets or up into structure, and then you get consolidation, many people are fearful that the market's actually going to pull back, right? That's very, very natural, right? When you see an extended run, you're thinking, oh, prices are high, because we just recently saw that prices weren't so high down here in this low. And since prices are high, now markets are consolidating, there are no more buyers. We're going to have an illiquid buy side price area there. We should see a sell-off. We didn't think that was the case because we were backing the fundamental trade idea, which is where you get your trending moves. And as you guys can see here, we did over the past really 8 trading days. Out of those 8 trading days, all of those trading days but 2 were to the upside. Today, we did break a high, and right now we have pulled back. But now look, the candle just went green. Green, no red. Are you guys freaking out? I'm not freaking out because that's volatility. That happens. Okay, so let's keep an eye here on the JPY. Okay, I am really just going to be focusing on this GBP and on this NZDJPY, which we have been pushing positions out on inside of the Academy. And I think I'm going to stick there. Okay, later on this week, we might start putting out, some positions and some trade ideas. And when it comes to like our thesis, I'm going to just stay there. I'm going to stay with the ideas that we've had for the past 2 weeks or so. Pound potentially continuing to the upside. NZD obviously going on an absolute tirade at the moment. Okay, and this JPY as well, potentially risk off. Risk off markets may pull back there on that JPY. If you're a little bit confused as to what risk off means and all that kind of stuff, watch the last video. We talked about how Japanese is like the thesis for risk in the market. Okay, so that's it. Now, we will look at some indexes, but we're not going to be doing any kind of, okay, this is our trade of the week stuff that we usually do. We'll save that for maybe later on this week or for next week. Let's just stay to, these positions here. Okay, so let's look over here at the euro very quickly. We were talking about the euro and how the euro, it's been a little bit of trouble. They had to lower rates potentially. That's interesting stuff. But as you guys can see, not much volatility. This is a weekly chart. So overall, the euro has not moved much. Now, also, let's continue taking a look at, let's take a look at the JPY. JPY as well, it did end up breaking the low. Remember what we mentioned all throughout really November. Hey, risk off. JPY might start breaking this low that it's been holding for the past, 2.5 months. That's a long time. So for us to slowly start to think that, hey, this is going to potentially end in a JPY sell, that's a good assumption that we made. And as of right now, we did just break a low this week. So yesterday we ended up getting to our lowest point on the JPY in the past maybe about 40 trading days or so. So that's awesome. Now continuing along here, let's see, let's take a look at the CHF. We haven't talked much about the CHF. Notice this, as you guys may know if you've been watching maybe videos 10, 15, 20 videos ago, we were talking a lot about the CHF being correlated to the JPY. Notice that the CHF also just broke its lowest point in, again, maybe the past 2 or 3 months or so. There's a little correlation there. Okay, so let's keep an eye on these markets. Keep an eye also on that NZDJPY. I do think NZD has a little bit more room to run. It has had a dramatic sell, okay? Just last but not least, just to show you the perspective of where this NZD has somewhat came from. Again, we are somewhat maybe around a 38.2% fib from the July high. If we go back to the 2019 high, we're barely probably at maybe a 23.6. Okay, so moving on, I want to talk to you guys about the Top Trader app. So the Top Trader app, it has not had a delay, but man, the developing world and the software world, these guys are absolute geniuses. They're expensive. Okay, we've invested close to 100 grand in the application, but they are so smart and they wanted to make a change in the application that they thought could allow it to scale a little bit more. The waiting list has grown a lot larger than we thought it would. Okay, so what we're gonna end up doing, guys, is making a Telegram channel where we can just start feeding you guys information and updates about what's happening in the application. So if you guys have already put in your email to get that beta test, we are going to shoot you an email probably in the next 48 hours or so for you to join what's called the waiting room. And that's going to be the app waiting room. We're going to be having the launch. We're going to be holding contests in there in anticipation, just celebration that the app is coming out. And there's just going to be so many awesome things there as well for you guys. So make sure you guys, the waiting room link will be in the bio. I'll just throw it in there. But also, if you don't see this video, you're going to get an email you're going to get an email, and I'm going to make sure you guys get access to that as well. Okay, so really excited for that. And we're, of course, going to be doing some walkthroughs very, very soon. But I'm happy that they found something before we went too much further in the back end development phase. I might be losing you, but at the end of the day, I'm excited for that. Last but not least, this channel, the Top Trader channel, we talk a lot about trading. Every single video, I think every video we've ever made on the channel has a 100% correlation back to trading. And that's okay. But as you guys maybe know, trading and just overall finance, it's so broad. And trading can get a little bit mundane, and I want to make sure you guys expand out, outside of just Forex alone, right? I do so many things outside of trading, and I'm excited to talk about some of those things and to just overall have awesome, really great entrepreneurial guests on the new Top Trader podcast. All right. So the podcast is not going to be named the Top Trader podcast. It's actually going to be called the Millennial Money Show. And it's going to be filmed right back there in our studio. And I am super excited. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. If you guys have not downloaded the Google Podcast app, it is amazing. But it's going to be hosted there. And we're also going to be doing a live stream here on the channel. Okay, and so we're going to be just talking so much about just entrepreneurship. I have a bunch of really cool entrepreneurial buddies who have made millions of dollars in their respective fields who are going to be on the podcast talking to you guys about, what their journey was like to, becoming, seemingly a successful entrepreneur. And that's just going to be very, very beneficial to, I think, the general population here who watches the channel. Okay, so the Millennial Money Show is going to be first episode. Let's call it Friday. Let's say it. I'm going to call it Friday. We'll have the first episode, and you guys can come here, or you can go to any of those respective channels on Friday. If you do come back here, I'll make sure I have the link to the podcast below. Okay, so super excited for that. Super excited for the Top Trader app. Really excited for 2019, not to be over, but to get a nice new fresh start at 2020. 2019 has been an amazing year. I hope it has been for you guys. Of course it has. You're here, you're breathing. A lot of people, some folks didn't make it out of 2019. And so I'm always just so appreciative, of every single year, no matter what, because we're blessed to be able to breathe earth, hang out here in markets. I mean, think about it. The computer died, but think about it. If you make on average $32,000 a year, you're in the top 1% of wealth in the entire world, okay? That's USD. If you make half of that, if you make a fourth of that, at the end of the day, you are blessed in many different ways, all right? So let's just make sure that we appreciate that and we're grateful of it. And trust me, what that does is it just makes your overall life and just your overall just presence around other people. It's just gonna be better. You're gonna be a cooler dude because you're gonna be way more grateful. All right, so guys, if you got any questions for me, let me know. When I plug my computer back in, I'll take a look at some of the comments that were posted last week. I'll reply back to some of you guys. And again, if you guys need anything, again, let us know here at Top Traders. I'll talk to you guys very soon. Top Trader app, okay? The Millennial Money Show coming out soon. Make sure you guys stay posted. See you guys around. Peace out.